Hi everybody, it's Professor Tadone, and before you start Chapter 4, there's a couple things you need to do that will make this so much easier for you. And they are putting down a list of what your appendices are. You're going to be referring to your appendices probably during this chapter. The first appendix is always the 10 MET course outcomes every single time. And in this particular one I'm looking at now, it has them all listed nicely. These are the 10 lines you will need. A caring practitioner who, a critical thinker who, now let's go down, a practitioner who, an effective teacher who, an effective communicator, a collaborator, a consumer of research, a responsible leader, a competent manager, a responsible professional who. These are all listed in your syllabus, and all of these outcomes need to be met, okay, before the end of the project, and these will be placed as Appendix A, always. So your first appendix is always Appendix A. For your Appendix B, C, D, E, F, and so on, it depends on what you're doing with your project. For Option 3 nurses, you're always going to have your Appendix A, which would be how you met your 10 course outcomes. Your Appendix B will be learning objectives for Option 3 clinical observation experience. In other words, how were your objectives met with your clinical observations? Your Appendix C will be a listing of the clinical observation hours recorded on a clinical log for your shadowing. So you're going to, as I said, that diary that you're going to keep or that log, that's going to be your Appendix C. And your Appendix D and E and F, if you have any, could be different kinds of things. Your Appendix D will be the mentor's appraisal of the shadowing experience. So what will happen is I will call the mentor, or I will visit with her while you're with her, and we'll get an appraisal of the shadowing experience that you had with her, him or her. Appendix E will be any documents that were developed as part of this project. For example, if you could have something like if you're shadowing an NP, you might have the NP's job description, or you might have a salary printed out that is on some New York State website with NP salaries, or anything like that. It's not mandatory. Those are just things you could have down as appendices. For your Options 1 and 2 people, your appendices are going to be different than your Option 3 people. Your appendices will include Part A, which is the 10 MET course outcomes, and other parts that would be helpful for your project might be something like surveys that you conduct with the staff, evaluation tools if you use any copies of letters, emails, raw data collected, any teaching plans that you have with the folks that you're teaching, any new policies that are put into place, and if you're doing something that required something new in the job description, that would be there, and roles and responsibilities, things like that. So those are the different kinds of appendices that you could have. Now, the reason it's important to know these is when you do your project during 4, first thing you're going to do is you're going to have your timeline printed out, and you're going to look at that and refer to it frequently. And you're going to have your appendices marked, such as Appendix A, Appendix B, Appendix C. And if you refer to the appendix while you're discussing anything in Chapter 4, you will say in parentheses, see Appendix A, or see Appendix B, so on and so forth. The chapter itself, what you're going to do for the chapter, you're going to have your opening paragraph introducing the chapter, and then you're going to have each of the steps, care theory, marked here as subheadings. Since you're all doing Lewin, this will be pretty easy. You're all going to put unfreezing down as your first subheading. Then you're going to discuss things you did in your unfreezing phase. That's why it's good to look at that timeline. And you can write the important things down here. You do not need to put down things such as a chapter written or discussed what to do for project, things like that. This is things you did for the project itself, okay? So, for example, in unfreezing, you might put the first step was, and then you'd put what you did for your first step with unfreezing, and so on and so forth. And then you'd go to your moving to a new level. That's chapter 2, and you discuss the things that you have written in your timeline for when you move to a new level. Now, during this phase, you may have done something like evaluating staff regarding their use of whatever your particular project is regarding, okay? And you might say something like, see Appendix B or see Appendix D or whatever. And going down, we've got your refreezing. So during your refreezing phase, you'll put down what you did during that refreezing phase. All right? And then you'll tie everything up with a concluding paragraph. So once again, to recap, have your timeline printed out or have it in front of you and available to refer to frequently. And have your appendices, know what they are, and mark them A, B, C, D. If you are going to give a ending survey to staff and you have not done it yet, you can assume that that will probably be your last appendix and have that following. So that might be, if you only have 4 appendices, that would be your Appendix D, and you can refer. That's all for now. If you have any questions, of course, let me know. But remember, this is not due until March. So you have from now until March to pretty much do the things that you said you're going to do during your project in the timeline. Okay? God bless and have a lovely day. Bye-bye now.